All right. All right, so this is Children's Park. This is Picasso right here, so which is really cool, and the campus is this direction. It has a dead end right there. This big roundabout, which is really convenient. It stops traffic. There's a bike lane right here you can get into and out of from Camino del Sur, but it really reduces the traffic in this area and makes it really like able as a park for kids, which is a playground here, to kind of like be in this whole area here a lot safer. And also just this is totally reduced traffic. It's got a field here, a really big field. People play soccer on there. Big kind of community events for this area can be held there. There's a pagoda. There's some oak trees. There's 2 sets of playgrounds. There is a storage space, and there's a bathroom that is open during select times. There's a set of benches here and a little bit more area, kind of like lawn style. So what do we like about it? We really liked that the street was closed. We thought that was really conducive to kids kind of just taking this whole spot over. We like the trees that they're like along here. You can see it's a nice separation from this fence and this parking lot towards like the park. And they are nice oak trees for the most part. The field, there's a pagoda. Oh, there's a little library. So right here, there's like there's a stand and it's got a door. How do I describe it? It's like a birdhouse looking thing.
Like a little free library.
But yeah, it's called, I guess it's technically called a little free library. So you can open it up, and the idea is that there's books and things you can do in interchange for the community for kids' books, ostensibly. Way more of that. Yeah, a second. Okay, there's also a grill right there. There's a water fountain, and there is a recycling bin. Some of the problems that we noticed, it's not really on here, but we'll kind of just talk about them. The water fountain is hideous. Terrible.
Does it work?
It does have water coming out of it, but we're very concerned with the quality.
Very rusty.
Yeah. Okay.
There are benches, but most of them, if not all of them, have the seats slanting very far down. And they're also in the sun. You can see this one. There's another one over here that doesn't have shade. So they're kind of like unfortunately placed. That goes for these benches too, which you can't see here from the trees, which would misguide you from this picture, but there's actually not very much shade there. So it's kind of like uncomfortable, the chairs, and also their placement. The library, the little public library, we thought was a little too tall for kids to actually be able to look into it. So
It's like taller than
it's pretty tall.
Think of that.
Yeah, right. There's a door, so you can't see through the door. You have to open it to see the books. There also aren't any kids' books in it right now.
Yeah, there are adult books. Like,
yeah, there's 2.
Like a romance novel, I think I saw, or something like that. That's like this thick. So.
There's
It
also.
makes sense it's that tall, right?
That could be the case.
It's the big kids library.
Yeah, there is a bulletin board on this building here, which we thought was nice because it could hypothetically give people updates about what's happening, but it looked very not well maintained. This is the adjective right here.
It looked like moldy or something. It was like 10 different shades of yellow,
It looks a
gray,
little worn down,
and
yeah.
black. So.
And so we also thought that this bathroom here in general, we were told that it is open during times when there's a park district staff member there, but otherwise it's closed. And we noticed even when we were there, people were trying to get in to use the bathroom and couldn't. And we thought that it could be opened with some kind of monitoring system put into place. So some of the changes we thought that would be low cost would be maybe like having the benches, like just raising the seat so that you can actually sit on it.
Just like new benches.
Or a new bench, yeah, something like that. The bulletin board would be low cost, but not easy to make it look nice and more like attract more attention. There was an up-to-date signage in there, which we thought was good, but it could look better looking. And then also just some the long-term impacts. We thought that this playground structure was maybe a little old and could be updated to better reflect, I don't know, newest technologies or something.
And also, there's the mulch or the wood chips under it are really hard. So something that when kids fall, like they won't get splinters or just be in pain from falling on.
And that also applies to this other section here, which is pretty much gravel. And we also noticed that like We weren't sure whether or not kids were playing here or not because it was 1 o'clock. But when we went there, but there were a lot of holes around. So it seemed like the main thing kids were doing was like digging holes.
And
There's
the little what are those things called? Seesaws? No?
Yeah.
The little things that you rock back and forth on.
Rocking horses.
Yeah, they don't work
They
at all.
don't really move.
You know those really offensive direct TV commercials where there's the settlers?
Yes.
They are really offensive. But this children's playground has been, children are clearly settling. And so they're digging holes because there's nothing else to do. They're not using the structures because they're so outdated. Is that too much?
It's okay. I'm doing the best we can. I'm not going to take it personally.
There was some opportunity thought. We didn't do number 4 because there was no one really in the park at the time. And we think a lot of that is because it was like 1 o'clock, so a lot of the kids, which use it all very often, were all in school, and also the families maybe were working. This is like a very heavy family neighborhood, just for context. Just wondering. We thought some community partnerships could be potentially like a sorority or I suppose fraternity, other kind of groups like that could maybe do something like monitor the bathrooms so that they could be open more often, since that was such a in-demand thing. So maybe like some kind of community group could volunteer to sort of staff the bathroom. And also something that we talked about was the potential for plantings. So a local,
Oh, no.
like a local orchard or nursery that could potentially be interested in doing volunteer or kind of contributing at lower cost or something like that could perhaps spruce up some of these pathways.
And we also talked about planting more trees here so that you're not staring straight at a fence to an apartment complex. And I think we all thought it might be a good idea to have like the kids get to plant the trees, because that's always like a really fun thing. I know that I did that when I was younger, and it was like I felt so involved, and so I think that might be a good idea.
The Little Library has an existing sponsor. It's Elks Club Lodge number 613, but they need to be shamed into elevating their game a little
A
bit.
nice phone call might also work.
Maybe they can do more of that, also.
Yeah.
There's also like this idea that if you get kids actually gardening and planting their own fruits and vegetables, they will eat broccoli if they grow it.
Yeah.
So that maybe there's some sort of kids community gardening.
I'll just make one statement because it'll relate to a couple of the different groups. There's a project on campus called the Edible Campus Program that is trying to grow food specifically for giving to folks in need. And they have now got their 3rd project approved on campus. We could be doing more projects in IB. So I just want to put that out there, that if there's an interest in doing more edible campus landscaping, we have a group on campus that's got a lot of experience now and a pretty good program going, and we could be partners.
I also wanted to mention that there were 2 murals. There's a mural on this wall right here with, I suppose, some Mesoamerican group playing a game. And then over here, there's a very big mural as well on this entire wall of the apartment building. And we thought it was cool that they had them. We also thought they could potentially be upgraded or redone to involve community again in that process.
With edibles, it seems like a lot of people have a mistaken idea that they're a source of missiles to be thrown about. Oranges, my neighbors have an orange tree, and conservative estimate, 90% of those oranges get lobbed around and very few get eaten. So placement, maybe out of the way spots would be my recommendation there. Also with the bulletin board, there's a natural linkage to any volunteer action if it's bulletin board. Unless you know the source for self-maintaining bulletin boards, it needs to have a champion that keeps an eye on it and keeps it up to date.
Like a free box.
We also lost several big eucalyptus trees, nice shade trees on the west end towards Matthias there, and I don't know what the park district's plans are for replacing those with shade trees, but that would be nice.
I also I personally noticed, we didn't talk about it at the time, but this area right here could potentially be really cool to do like kind of the street painting stuff that the pictures were showing. It could be really hip. I mean, I know there's lots of people that use this area and then come through this thoroughfare, and I think it would look pretty cool, and there's not really traffic
Yeah, you don't have to
consequences that you might deal with in a used intersection. So,
Just one other idea, you had mentioned planting trees, and I just want to make sure you also are thinking about your children's trees, which is another group on campus that just started up this year, and they would be able to bring out both trees and volunteers.
What was the name?
Your children's trees. Very active this year.
So is the rocking horse you're talking about is one of those like rocking spring toys?
Yeah.
So I think we've been having problems with those generally in Isla Vista ever since I've been here, because college students come out and they're much heavier than those kids, and then they go and then they break the spring.
and immediately our college kids jumped on it and tried to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not doing anything. Like, if anything, they could just take them out. Because you can't, like, you just sit on it, and they're probably rusty, like 90% of the things there. So.
We need the duck sculptures is what we need. It's cool. The duck sculptures for the other pictures.
Also, this doesn't have to do with this one, but I was thinking about parks in general here. There are a lot of dog owners in Isla Vista, but there's no dog park for those dogs. And so you see a lot of, like, you know, dogs either going to the bathroom everywhere or not being socialized like they could be if you had, like, a fenced off park for dogs. So that's something to think about.
Wasn't Dog Shit Park called something else before it was called Dog Shit Park?
It's officially called Sea
Or that very
Lookout.
time.
It's called Sea Lookout. And if I could just comment on that, all of our parks are actually open to dogs. And we now have doggy bag dispensers in every single one of our parks, along with a trash can. And we're working on the children's areas as having some restrictions for dogs on leashes. But otherwise, parks like Estero and parks like Sea Lookout are considered pretty popular dog parks.
I mean, I know myself though, like I know some dogs that are puppies and like aren't trained yet to be off a leash, and so they're just confined to being on a leash and like being dragged around, so they don't get an opportunity to play. And especially in Ivy, where you're either living in an apartment or have like a tiny balcony, and like that is your yard. So I think that is something to definitely think about.
People's yards are being used for dog bathrooms.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
experienced that in
yeah.
great ways.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, great.
Thanks.
Awesome. Guys, can I have your notes?